Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to be taking a look at this Batman 0 Year trade paperback. Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent, and today we're going to do an overview of this 0 Year trade paperback. This came out, I don't know, a couple weeks, maybe a month or so ago, and so this is the first time 0 Year has been collected all together from DC Comics. But before we get into the overview, let me ask you to please do one thing. Please help me and subscribe. It helps me out, helps the channel grow, lets you know when I drop new videos, all that good stuff. So, 0 Year. What is this? Well, this is basically like the new 52 origin of Batman. This is written by Snyder and Greg Capullo, who did the Batman Court of Owls saga. Ooh, my overhead light is shining there. So this is the Essential Edition. This is the only edition also that collects the entire Court of Owls thing together, which was basically issues 1 through 11 or 12 of Batman the New 52. This is the 0 Year. This was originally, I think it was in three trade paperbacks. And basically what 0 Year is replacing is this right here. This is my copy of Batman Year 1. So this is 0 Year. So it's not quite Year 1. Again, it's taking place before Year 1, before Bruce really becomes Batman. And you'll kind of see that here in the book. He's still Batman, but he's not quite Batman in the uniform. He's got the purple gloves, and he's kind of got like a makeshift costume. So that's why we're considering it as the 0 Year. There's also a story reason for it too. The first thing I want to point out about this trade paperback is, it's thick. And this is because of the paper. So this is a bit thicker than the Essential Edition here that I have of Court of Owls. So this is, I don't know when this was printed, 2019, 2018 or something like that. This Court of Owls one, I haven't read it yet, but I don't think I've done an overview of it. But I really like the paper on this Court of Owls one because you can tell all the details and stuff, and everything shows up on the paper. I've looked at multiple copies of these 0 Year trade paperbacks, and at least the ones here in Florida in my state all seem to be messed up. There's crinkles in the paper. The paper quality is not that nice. Like, it's just, there was a bad print run, and I don't know if every copy all over the states or whatever is like this. Some are worse than others. Like, you can see the moisture or something with these books. Maybe it's because they were shipped to Florida. Also, the paper here is like very, very thick, so that's why it is thicker than the glossy paper that's in this one. And it is a little glossy, like you're going to see the light show up all over here, but it doesn't feel as slick as the Court of Owls paper. It's more absorbent of the ink, I guess. Maybe there's, in flipping through here, like, honestly, the colors are a little bit duller than they are in the Court of Owls trade paperback. This green, I don't know if I'm going to find the same green over here in the Court of Owls trade paperback, but everything in the Court of Owls trade paperback feels really sharp, feels really like, there you can see all the details and stuff, and just flipping through this book, this 0 Year, I don't get the same feeling. Like, everything is a little bit, not dull, because you do have these more vibrant colors that are out there, and that's part of the story and stuff like that. It's not really in the same dark Gotham. But there are some pages I was flipping through, I should have marked them, where it really feels like maybe the paper was smudged or something like that. Like, it doesn't stick out in as a visceral detail as the Court of Owls trade paperback does. So that's what I wanted to point out about the paper here, because it's just, I don't know, for being the first time this was collected, it doesn't lend itself that this is like the primo presentation of the 0 year story. So these were originally collected, I think, in 3 different trade paperbacks. There's 3 different smaller arcs to this story, and this collects Batman 21 through 27 and 29 through 33. Batman number 28 was like a flash forward story, so that's why it's not collected in here. Also, weirdly not collected in here is Batman issue 0, which has the Red Hood gang, is drawn by Greg Capullo, written by Scott Snyder. I would think that, even though the story doesn't start there, you know, you're totally skipping the Red Hood gang stuff that's, you know, takes place in the 0 issue that's, you know, not quite a follow-up per se, but I would say still relevant as it takes place early in Batman's story. You know, and I think it takes place even before this. I feel like it takes place somewhere in this 0 year. So I find it really strange that it's not included. So anyway, so as I'm flipping through here, you're seeing Greg Capullo art, and you're also seeing some other art. There's backups in here by Rafael Albuquerque, who's a phenomenal artist. He worked with Scott Snyder on American Vampire, and some backups by Andy Clark later on when we get to Harper Row. So this is Batman for most of the series right here. This is the purple gloved, kind of ribbed shoulders Batman that they designed, and this is kind of a riff on the Batman that showed up in Detective Comics number 27 way back in 1938, 1939. His first couple appearances, he had these purple gloves, so this is the homage to that. You know, they're homaging everything as opposed to like retelling it like Batman Year One. There's no purple anything in this book. This is the Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli's legendary story here. So this is referencing history. You have the Red Hood gang going here. This is the pivotal thing. You know, is this not the creation of the Joker? I'll never tell. You'll never know. This book certainly doesn't tell that story either. But it is kind of cool that it is here in the 0 year that this happens. So the overall story of the 0 year has to do with Bruce Wayne becoming Batman, deciding he wants to be Batman, and then basically going up against a couple different foes, like this guy right here. I want to say he was like Dr. Death or something like that. I can't remember for sure. It's been a long time since I've read this. But he goes up against that guy. He goes up against Red Hood in these little arcs. But ultimately, it boils down to being a Riddler story. And you see that in the final arc where the Riddler's kind of taken over Gotham City and it's overgrown and green, and you have to go up against the Riddler, Edward Nygma, and all his craziness here. So it all builds up to this Savage City story arc that is basically the finale of the 0 year, and everything kind of comes to a head at the end with Batman and the Riddler. So I thought it was an okay story when I first read it. Honestly, I've only read this story once through as it was coming out. So I've never read it again a second time front to back, which is kind of why I picked up this trade paperback, because I figured this would be a nice way to reread it. And I don't know if this has become like a modern classic or anything, but it's certainly the newer Batman origin, if you want to call it that. Although I still think this doesn't, now that everything's been rebirthed and Infinite Frontiered, I don't really know if this story exists in continuity anymore. It might be gone, and I don't really know how you could replace Batman Year One and its magnificence, but you can certainly read 0 year and have a good time with it. So there's some variant covers back here by all sorts of artists. And this is the new cover that Capullo did with FCO Placencia, who I think he's the colorist. They did this back in 2019, and this was printed in 2021, so this is probably delayed due to the pandemic. So this is the costume concept. That's kind of the only extra sketch thing that's in the back. But this, don't get me wrong, guys, this is a mighty thick book, and that may be because of the paper. Again, this is 12 issues. This is 11, and it looks like it's twice the size of this monster. But certainly if you haven't read this before, I think it's worth checking out. Even if the paper quality does suck and suffer a little bit, can't go wrong with Greg Capullo art drawing Batman. And I'm interested to revisit the story and see if it is indeed really a new modern classic. I mean, this is not quite 10 years old in terms of like when this story came out originally, but it's getting there. It's almost 10 years old. But it is nice that they finally put it together in one package that you can just grab off the shelf and hand to somebody or read, instead of being in 2 or 3 different trade paperbacks when you're like, is this all one story or not? Because it was originally broken up, I think, into 2 or 3 trade paperbacks by like Dark City, Savage City, 0 Year, maybe was the first one. Like when you get to the title pages, they'll tell you which of the arcs you're reading here. Secret City, Dark City, and Savage City, yeah, were the 3, chunks that they broke this up into originally. So there you have it. There's your look at Batman 0 Year. Let me know down below in the comments if you think this is a new modern classic. Is it worth revisiting every time? Is it going to replace Batman Year 1 as canon? I don't know. I don't think so. But it's certainly not the best Snyder Capullo story. I think that is here with the Court of Owls. So let me know down below what you guys think of 0 Year, and we will see you guys next time here in the Funny Pages.